there's always a danger that we have in our lives that we can say, if we look back with nostalgia at a certain time, or if we look back with regret at a certain time, and we can say, if only this did not happen to me. If only I did not have this situation. If only I did not have this challenge. Imagine where I would be today. If only I did not do this. If only this was not done to me, my life would look so different. And we get stuck in it. We get stuck in the past. We are not just bruised by the past, but we just become stuck by the past. We can't get out of it. And we ruminate. We look back. We get enmeshed with it. And we constantly say to ourselves, if only this wouldn't have happened to me, then X, Y, and Z wouldn't have happened to me, or I would be so much better off, or I wouldn't have had this, and so on and so forth. So it happens to be that I think women do this in greater, frequency. I think that we ruminate, we look back, and perhaps it's because of our own sensitivity that we have. It's a certain sensitivity to learn from the past. But if we are stuck in the past and we're always struggling to get over our past, then what happens is we become a prisoner of the past. So in as much as that Yosef names his child Menashe to forget, it still represents the struggle to let go, the struggle to forget, the struggle not to be in a negative state of mind, or what our sages call surmeira, the pulling back of evil, the pulling back from bad. And then there's the other part. The other part is flourishing, aseh tov, doing good, moving ahead, planning, being alive, being successful. And it's true that one has to come before the other. You have to let go of the past to become successful in the future. However, what happens to someone that can't let go of the past? What happens to someone that is stuck in the if onlys, that is stuck in the what ifs, is stuck in if only I didn't make that mistake, or if only this wouldn't have happened to me, or if only someone wouldn't have not done this to me? What happens in such a situation? And they can't go from the forgetting of the Menashe to the succeeding of Ephraim. What happens to them? They're stuck, right? So sometimes people say, let me just get past this. Let me get past this. Let me just get over this. Let me just overcome this. And they can't. And as much as they try to get past it, and as much as they try to overcome it, they simply cannot get past it, and they simply cannot get over it. So here comes a beautiful teaching from the Rebbe, from the Lubavitch Rebbe. The Rebbe says as follows: when Yaakov crossed his hands, and he put his right hand on Ephraim's head and his left hand on Menashe's head, essentially what he was doing was, he was giving preference to the action of being Ephraim, which is being fruitful, being successful, over the exercise of learning to forget. And the Rebbe says that this epitomizes a very deep lesson for life, which is this. Yes, you have to work on letting go. Yes, you have to get rid of the what ifs. But what happens if you're stuck there? And you say to yourself, I'll just pass this epoch, I'll just pass this stage, and then I'll become success. Then I'll be able to do part B. So the Rebbe says no, that actually what has to happen sometimes is you have to go to part B, even if you haven't yet gotten over part A. In other words, just plant seeds, just wake up and do good, just start being alive, being successful. Yes, you always have on the back burner the what ifs that is simmering. You have this struggle of pulling away from the negativity that is always there, but don't give that prominence. Don't give that precedence. Always give precedence to the active, to the proactive, to the positive things that you have to do in your life. Because sometimes you'll never be able to get out of the what ifs, and you have to go to the next part. So in this very mystical crossing of the hands, Jacob is giving a lesson not only to Joseph, not only to Joseph's children, but for all children forevermore. In the future of the Jewish people, whenever people will bless their children, they will bless their children with the blessing that Jacob gives Ephraim and Manasseh. He will bless them. Every parent blesses their children that way. They bless their sons this way, and then the daughters are blessed differently. Daughters are blessed, Yisimcha Elohim, Kisara, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. May God make you like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. But it is drawn, that blessing is drawn from the blessing of Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh becomes the blessing that all children are blessed with, including female children, even though there's a special blessing that the rabbis have for girls as well. And the blessing that is given is a blessing that some people have a custom to give their children a blessing every Friday night. Some people have a blessing to give their children a blessing Erev Yom Kippur, or at very special times in their life, for example, at a wedding, and so on and so forth. But this becomes the blessing of the Jewish people, because to be a Jew, to survive in the difficulties of this life, you really have to be able to focus on what you can do and let go of what you didn't do or what happened to you. And this is the only way the Jewish people can move forward. Imagine that in as much as the Jewish people cannot forget what happens to them on a collective scale, they always have to be flourishing and not allow that to paralyze them, and not allow that to define them, and to paralyze them and not allow them to be who they are. And that's also true on a personal level. We all have our Menashe. We all have our what ifs. We all have our if onlys. And we sometimes think we have to work that through in order so that we get to the Ephraim, to the fruitfulness. But in fact, it's the opposite. Jacob crosses his hands to say, put the Ephraim before the Manasseh. Put the celebration of life. Put the success of life. Put the work of succeeding before even working out the battles that you struggle with. In other words, we struggle and we have to struggle, but don't give it precedence. Give precedence to the aseh tov. Give precedence to the good that you will do now. The one step, the one resolution, the one thing that you're going to take on that's going to make your life a better life.